What's up, everyone? Welcome to popculture.com's group chat, where we talk about all the reality TV news that we care about and you need to know. I'm one of your hosts, Anna Rumor.
And I'm Jameson Brown.
And I'm Victoria McGotteby.
Guys, welcome back to the podcast. I missed you since last week. No, we talk every day because we work together, but I've missed the audience since last week.
You miss seeing our faces.
Yes. It's wonderful to connect with you in these times. Jameson's got a sleeping dog under his feet that I am very jealous of. I'm jealous of you for having the dog, but also jealous of the dog for sleeping right now.
Yeah,
so it's kind of a double-edged sword. We have a great show for you this week. There's been a lot happening, kind of all over the map. All of it a little bit of a bummer. So, we'll try to balance that with some levity. First, we're going to talk about Naya Rivera. That story has been everywhere and is really sad. So we'll talk about her passing. There's been a shakeup at Dancing with the Stars, which is kind of in a totally different realm, but, also all over the news. Nick Cannon is in big trouble because he's been saying some really gross stuff about Jewish people. Yikes. And then the Counting On family is feuding with each other, and they're always a little dark for me. So let's kick off with probably like the biggest bummer of the month of the podcast of a really long time. I was really sad about this. Naya Rivera, you might remember her from Glee. She played Santana. She went missing last week, July 8th. She had rented a pontoon boat with her 4-year-old son, Josie, on Lake Piru. And then the boat was found later with her son sleeping in it. He was wearing her life vest. There was a couple days of searching, and on July 13th, the Ventura County Sheriff's Department did find her body. She was determined to have drowned accidentally. I was really heartbroken following this whole saga. I mean, I figured kind of from the evidence that we got at the start that it was an accidental drowning, but watching her family and her friends go through that searching process has been really heartbreaking.
Yeah, it was like, I mean, the drag out of it was pretty tough. I mean, and the son being on the boat and being found alone, and like just so many pieces of it just made it even that much more awful. So
yeah, this is a sad story, but I will say, I hope none of this comes out wrong, but like, I'm happy that her family at least has closure.
Yeah.
Instead of
that's a good
leaving
point.
it, open-ended. Like, obviously we don't like this type of closure. We want her to be alive and well and with us all, but at least her family, was able to get the closure that they needed. But it's just a devastating story. I mean, of just like an accidental incident,
And it is crazy too, because those kinds of Lake Piru is a reservoir. Actually, it's not a natural lake. And there was an excellent LA Times story about how it has been the site of like a dozen drownings in just the last 20 something years. Yeah. Apparently there's a lot of vegetation at the bottom of the lake that can ensnare swimmers. It's really cold, so it can shock people. It has pretty strong currents. So it's seems like it's not a great place to swim. There have actually been people who have been petitioning for them to put up signs warning people of how dangerous it is to swim, because if you've seen pictures of the area, I mean, it's beautiful. There's a whole recreation area, so you wouldn't assume that is what's happening. But the search and rescue people who were interviewed and people who had been working in the Parks and Recreation Department were like, unfortunately, it's definitely more likely that she drowned than anything, conspiracy theory-esque that people were throwing out there had happened. So,
well, she wasn't wearing her life vest either,
right?
Which, well, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, when I go swimming, I don't either, but it kind of makes me like double think, like if I should just be having at least a flotation device out there. A lot of people are using life vests now as like little like diapers to, float on and swim on, if you don't have like a floaty, like at least maybe just use it for that, at the very least.
Right. And police said that their kind of working theory, no one will really ever know what happens unless Josie is able to kind of speak to that, although he's 4. So, what does he even comprehend about that? But a lot of people were saying, and the police were saying that it's likely that the boat was unanchored because it was found unanchored and started to drift away while they were swimming. She didn't notice, and she was able to swim back to the boat and kind of thrust the little boy back onto the boat wearing her life jacket, but then wasn't able to surface herself because she had lost all her energy. So it's so dark, so tragic, kind of a really sad and bittersweet portrait of what it is to be a mom too. That was my thought, that she kind of gave up her life for her little boy. So that's horrible. I mean, our thoughts are with her family and with her friends during this time. The one thing that I thought was really kind of interesting and like a little spooky is that her body was found on the 7th anniversary of Cory Monteith's death.
Yes.
He overdosed back in 2013 now. And Kevin McHale, who played Artie on Glee, tweeted out that he didn't feel like it was a coincidence. He was like, I'm not religious at all, but it would be silly of me to not acknowledge that I feel like Cory was like helping the search team find her. So I don't know. I thought that was kind of a spooky, beautiful little detail.
Yeah, I agree. What is, my heart goes out to the whole Glee cast, you know what I mean? Like they've been losing their friends. And so, that is.
They went out there, didn't they? They
did.
Went out to the site. Yeah. The day she was found.
Well, so the weird thing is one of the officers said, I think this was an interview with Us Weekly, where he said that they actually, it was Amber Riley. The funny thing is the officer was like, I didn't watch Glee. I don't know who these people are, but people identified them from the photo. It was like Amber Riley, Heather Morris, and some of Naya's family went down and they were holding hands by the edge of the lake and were praying for her. And the officer said that it was while they were like praying for her and sending up the thoughts that they did find her body.
Wow.
So.
Wow.
Yeah.
Chilling story.
It was very, very chilling, very tragic. And just kind of, I don't know, gives me like goosebumps, and I'm not sure if that's in a good way or a bad way, basically.
Yeah. Wow.
But people have been paying tribute to her. She was so incredibly talented. If you ever watch Glee, I watched the first couple seasons before it went a little bit off the rails for me.
Yes.
But talking about how important she was, because Santana is a queer woman who eventually marries Brittany after starting off the show as BFFs, and a lot of queer women were coming out and saying how important her representation was for them back, before that was really on TV or on mainstream TV. So she's been, kind of all over the internet with people posting really excellent performances of her, praising her as an artist, praising her as a person who was important to the LGBT community. So Demi Lovato was actually one of those people who came out and said that she inspired her. So that's
I found that to be like incredible.
Yeah, what a legacy. So Joe, if people are worried, Josie's with his dad, who's Ryan Dorsey, and we'll see. So I mean, it's the biggest story of the week, but it is kind of a bummer to start the podcast with. Let's move on to something that is not so deeply depressing. Dancing with the Stars.
Whoa!
We're making these like explosion hand motions right now because absolutely out of nowhere on Monday, Tom Bergeron tweeted that he had just been notified that he'd been fired ahead of season 29 of Dancing with the Stars.
I know.
What? So he's been the host since the beginning. It's been 15 years that he's hosting. He's the show. I mean, especially for me, I'm such a big fan. I love him.
Yeah. And he has such a long-standing history of being a host in general. I mean, he hosted America's Funniest Home Videos and like a number of different shows, and then just out of the blue, I'm just curious as to like why.
Were there ratings?
Do we know why?
No, their ratings were pretty good. I mean, they always have great ratings. This last season was actually really great ratings because they had Hannah Brown on there and everyone loved her. Yeah. So they had the whole Bachelor Nation. So that he tweeted that out, which I was like, ooh, someone's not happy, because whenever you've been fired and you tweet it, that's
like you tweet that you read it. That's like how you found out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and so ABC soon after confirmed that yes, he had been let go, and then said that Erin Andrews, who's his co-host, she's been his co-host for like 6 years, 6 seasons now. She's gone too.
But was she fired or did she choose to leave?
She was let go. Okay.
She was let
so
go.
what it probably is they're not fired per se, because their contracts are probably on a year-to-year basis. So they're not invited back. So it's technically fired, but
they're just not, their contracts weren't renewed.
Right. In practice, it's fired. Legally, it's probably not fired. I'm sure they don't get like unemployment benefits.
They weren't rushing to renew contracts.
Yes. She said that she had just found out as well. ABC said they were going in a new, quote, creative direction with it. Everyone's kind of like, who's going to replace them? What does this mean for the show? What does a new creative direction mean? I mean, the show is pretty, it is what it is. It's a dancing competition. Like, you bring on different celebrities, and that's what makes the seasons different. But the format doesn't need to change, in my opinion. And then Tuesday, the same day that Erin Andrews had come out, and, she said something lovely about how she had always had a good time, and she wasn't good at walking in heels, but would always relish her time with Tom. They come out Tuesday and announce that Tyra Banks is actually going to be the host of the new Dancing with the Stars.
I feel like since America's Next Top Model, I feel like that's what she's been doing the last like decade / 15 years, and then
she did America's Got Talent too.
Oh, that is right. She did. Okay. Yeah. I mean, listen, I'm a Tyra fan. I like Tyra. I mean, maybe it's just because I go way back with her. I liked her like when I was a child.
I like Tyra too. I think she's an odd choice for the host, because she tends to, and I mean this with all the love in my heart, if I were her, I would do this as well. She tends to make things about herself. So when you're doing live television and what Tom and Erin, I feel like, did so well is like wrap things up really nicely and then move on.
Yeah.
Like, they did the timing really quickly. I'm curious to see how Tyra handles it with that kind of live, because I feel like in the past,
both of them are really good at like being engaging, but giving the people they're talking to like the platform to speak or dance or whatever it was. So I'm in that same.
Yeah. It's a skill to be like, okay, I do want to hear from you. You are emotional. Something just happened, but also we have 5 seconds and I have a producer talking in my ear.
Yes, that is so true. That is a true skill. They make it look so easy. And that was one thing I really appreciated about their hosting skills, in the years that I've watched, is they were very good at that. And they're good at like poking fun of each other, but like in a polite way, in a nice way. And I don't know, they just have a way of like lifting everyone's spirit. So it will be very interesting to see how what Tyra brings to the table when it comes to, I'm interested to see if Dancing with the Stars is like, okay, listen, we kind of want to conform you to what we've been doing with them, or if they're going to let her kind of do her own thing. That's what I'm curious to know.
Yeah, same. Because I do like her, and what's done is done. They're not going to bring back Tom and Erin because I'm sad about it. So I want her to do well. I don't want the show to be bad or anything like that. But I'm just interested to see how she does at that kind of live hosting job. I've never seen her do that. And I feel like when you're the star and when you're like the supermodel, you get to talk as long as you want, and then they'll edit it down later. So
I know, I feel like I'm so used to seeing her in America's Next Top Model that it's just kind of like, to see her outside of that is going to be very interesting, as someone who has followed her for so many years, like just in the model realm, like I loved her when she was a Victoria's Secret model, and then going into the show. And
she was also in Halloween Resurrection. Let's not forget that.
Oh yeah.
Okay, random.
Well, and what was that Disney movie? What was that Disney movie? The Barbie one that she was in?
Oh yeah.
Life size?
Like super size. Life size, yes.
Super size, yes. Something like
that.
No,
it's life size. I Super Size Me is the McDonald's documentary.
Also good.
Good one. Yes. Actually, very good documentary.
Not what I was talking about, but no, she was in she's done everything. And she was saying in a interview with Good Morning America on Wednesday that the season's going to be next level. So they're really bringing a lot of new stuff to it. She was saying, I never shy away from being the first person to do anything, because she is Dancing with the Stars' first Black host, because there's been 2 hosts and they've both been white people. So she's like, I'm ready to break that barrier, which is awesome, and I'm excited for that. I'm just excited to see what she brings to it.
Do you think they'll change the format any at all? I feel like they like tweak it every now and again just to like kind of piss fans off or, you know, get a headline.
I feel like they do that just to be like, oh, now it's different, but it's always kind of the same.
It is always kind of the same. They teeter that line.
I feel like there's not too much you can do with the formula for the scores to still work, you know?
So are they they're still finding a replacement for Aaron?
No, from my understanding, Tyra is replacing both of them.
Dang.
So the format would have to change some, because if you think about it, they talk to the judges where Tom, you know, talks to them, and then they go upstairs and talk to Aaron. So I'm sure that there's going to be some slight change in that format.
I wonder if they just like remove that whole second part and just all do it in one. Like
maybe that's it. Maybe they just pivot to a different camera or something.
Yeah.
Or she's really fast and she can run up the stairs very quickly.
She'll run really quick. That would be a workout. Put that girl in tennis shoes.
I feel like she could run in heels. She's better than me in those, which is pretty much anyone.
She's had enough years walking in them.
I know. And she's very tall, so, you know, fast. I'm excited for the new season. They haven't announced when it's going to come out yet, and the only celebrity we know is going to be in it is Caitlin Bristow from what do you call it? The Bachelorette.
The Bachelor.
So we don't have very many details on it yet, although she was kind of like hemming and hawing about whether Dr. Fauci would be on, because there have been rumors that he had been approached by production, which would not surprise me. They kind of
at all surprise me.
No, I feel like the first press conference they were like, "Oh, get him on the show."
I love seeing people go from like White House status to like Dancing with the Stars to see if they like. How is that transit? Are they going to be as stiff as they are like when they're in the White House? Or are they going to like let loose?
I have to say that I hate it so much. I don't want these people on my TV when I'm trying to have a good time. I want them to go do their jobs because they have important jobs. Yeah. So if the rumor is true that he was approached, I am sure he said no because he's a little busy. So
a little busy right now.
Yeah.
Busy. Got some stuff to do.
2020's got his agenda filled.
Not going to work on the Foxtrot. But I just thought it was funny. But she's like, well, I can't confirm or deny that. I was like, Tyra, no. Deny that. So I don't know. It'll be an interesting season. I'm
actually kind of interested to see this now.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's take a quick break. We'll come back and talk about Nick Cannon and counting on 2 words or 2 phrases I never thought I would have to say in the same sentence. All right, we are back and we're talking about Nick Cannon. No, it's not 2010 and Nickelodeon. We are talking about some tough stuff he said on his YouTube show and podcast, Cannon's Class. He was interviewing in the most recent episode, Public Enemy's Griff. If you remember, he was kicked out of Public Enemy in 1989 for making anti-Semitic comments. So this should not come as a surprise that during his podcast with Nick Cannon, they both went on a pretty anti-Semitic rant talking about really like anti-Jewish conspiracy theories and being very offensive. Like you listen back to it and it's like, was there no one else in the room right then being like, don't stop talking about that. Like that's not okay. So I'm not going to repeat what they said, obviously, but soon after that went out of Viacom CBS, which we are owned by, as I should disclose. They announced that they were parting ways with him. He's been doing Wild and Out with MTV for, how long? A couple decades now.
Long time.
Yeah, that show's always
been a hot minute.
Yeah, so they announced that like we are not down with that. That's anti-Semitic. We want him to educate himself, but we're not going to provide a platform for his materials as he continues to do that. So that's tough. Cannon then went to social media. He's posted like 17 different apologies at this point. He said anyone who knows me knows I have no hate in my heart nor malice intentions. I don't condone hate speech nor the spread of hateful rhetoric. Then he was saying that he's an advocate for people's voices to be heard open, fairly, and candidly, which feels like his excuse for kind of propagating that. That's what I read that as, but I'm not sure. And then he posted another one where he was saying he was actually thanking people in the Jewish community and like rabbis and people who just are Jewish for coming forward and kind of educating him on what he'd said. He said that obviously there's a lot more for him to learn because the things that he said were so far off base, but that he would continue to educate himself. I don't know. I'm not a Jewish person, so it's not up to me to decide if the apology was good. It certainly was long and there were several of them. So maybe that's something, but, so there's that. And then Fox announced that because he had apologized and they're okay with the apology, that he's going to continue to host the Masked Singer, which is his other big gig.
Oh.
Yes.
Interesting.
So he will be back for that. Part of me wonders if they had already taped part of it. And that's kind of why.
Maybe. Oh, that is, yeah. Well, I think they tape a couple of months, like not that long before. I mean, they would have to be essentially like taping like during this lockdown, I would think. Because doesn't it air at the end of the summer or like fall? Aren't they like scheduled to air in like the beginning of fall?
See, I'm so messed up with when things are actually at this point that I'm
in our defense,
my seasonal schedule right now in my head is just gone to crap.
What I was going to say, in our defense too, like having covered the Masked Singer since it started, like they're very weird with their schedule. Like it's hard.
They are super weird. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, like every
they'll
time
air like
videos
back-to-back
in, these editors
seasons.
are like, what? Yes.
Yeah, there'll be like a full season, and then like a week later, it's like the new season.
What the hell are you talking about?
Yeah. But I can only assume that it would probably be in the fall like the rest of them, you know, which would mean that they would have to be shooting now. I don't know. I
don't know. I truly don't.
That he had been, didn't they announce that they had let him go? Or am I?
The Masked Singer? No, he's going to continue to host the Masked Singer.
But they had never announced that he was ever going to be let go from that show, correct?
No.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, so he's still a go on the Masked
Singer. We say
that
now.
Right. Yeah. I mean, right. It's Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern. So, you know, if it's Friday and something's changed, you know, sorry, I'm not a time traveler.
I have noticed a lot of celebrities coming out and speaking out against that. And a lot of them that I've noticed will not, at least the ones that I've seen, the few that I have seen have not named him personally. But they've kind of come out and spoken out about it. And so it's just, I don't know. Guys, these are such hard times. Like, I just want everyone to get along. World peace. I just want to go back to like Miss Congeniality days. Like I just want world peace.
Step one, everyone, stop saying things that are racist.
Like,
yeah, it's like it's not that hard.
It's not that hard. Nope.
It's just not that hard.
It's not. It's that you're saying something that's really mean and offensive about a group of people. Don't do that.
Don't do it.
Don't.
Change your life.
Exactly. Like, come on. No one's forcing you to say this. This is coming from within you. So, I don't know. He seems to be pretty well liked in Hollywood other than this. So maybe that's why they weren't naming him explicitly. Maybe, you know, it's...
and then there were ones that everybody gets his side. Yeah, I mean, I saw people definitely like sticking up for... It's weird to see how like both sides of the spectrum are working right now. Just as an observer.
Oh, yeah. What interesting is a generous term for it.
Yeah.
A little depressing sometimes.
This whole year, man, just when we thought July might treat us well, here we are.
No. Quick sidebar. I was at the pharmacy the other day. The woman looked at my license and said, "Oh, it's your birthday next week. What are you doing? Or are you doing anything for your birthday?" And I kind of like laughed. No. And she looked at me like I was crazy. I was like, "What do you want me to do? There's nothing to do."
Yeah. What can I do?
What do you want me to do? There's nothing.
I see what you have done is you've put the furniture has been nice and organized in your new house, Anna.
See, that's what I did for my birthday.
That's what she's doing for her
birthday. I got all
the
garbage out of my house.
You organized.
Organizing.
You, sat down and drank a lot on it while you streamed some stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's good. Summer 2020, guys, working on our non-tan. All right, let's move on to the Counting On feud, which has been happening for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And we've been paying attention to it. We've been writing stories about it. And just the other day when I was writing a story about it, I was like, you know what? This is bonkers. I can't believe we haven't talked about this on GroupChat yet. So let's talk about this. Derick Dillard, who is first of all, if you don't watch Counting On, I'm so sorry. Everyone's name starts with a J. It's very confusing. Bear with us. Derick Dillard, who doesn't start with a J but has two Ds, which is also confusing, who is married to Jill Duggar. Yeah. So Jameson's already making a chart with.
I know, yeah. Like
I'm
I just
trying
what?
to follow this.
So Derick Dillard is married to Jill Duggar. Jill Duggar is one of the many, many Duggar children. I've lost count of them at this point. Jim Bob Duggar is the patriarch of the Duggar family. Okay, these are all the people that we need to pay attention to right now. Derick has been going off on Jim Bob on Instagram for months now. He has been saying that Jim Bob doesn't pay the kids to be on TV. He's been slamming him for taking all the money from TLC for himself, criticizing him for not protecting Jill more in kind of the fallout in the wake of Josh Duggar, who's Jill's brother's molestation scandal, which surfaced in 2015. Been saying that she was treated really poorly as a victim. And then just last week, Derick took to the TLC Instagram page, like not even on his own anymore, and was saying that the show is not real at all. And it's because the show is under Jim Bob's control, and he will, quote, attack the victims, unquote, if they threaten the show. Said Jill was humiliated and threatened when they first said that they weren't going to film Counting On anymore. And that the pressure has only been let off of them because other people started to have kids so that the show had other storylines to film instead of them.
Wow.
Jill hasn't said anything, but Derick's like, I'll write a tell-all. I don't care. And I want him to so bad.
Yes, I'd read that in 2 seconds. It sounds like Jim Bob has been like master controller for all these years behind it. And if anyone wants anything different or speaks out or doesn't like how it's going, it's like, no.
Yes. And I mean, that wouldn't surprise me because, I mean, all of the kids have grown up and they have a very conservative home that's, you know, shut off from a lot of outside influences. So I wouldn't be surprised if he was able to maintain that control, just because when your family is like 70 people, you know, that's might be all the people you know, and you might not know, but that's odd that you're not getting paid.
Yeah, I was under the impression that it was just Jim Bob and his ex-wife that weren't getting along, and that was just kind of like the long-standing family feud. So to hear like other people
Jim
come
Bob
out,
Jim Bob doesn't have an ex-wife.
Oh, you know what? Oh God, this family is so large. Never mind.
I know, right? I know. That's why I'm like, there's so many J names. They all have their own drama. But
I'm just gonna ask questions.
Please. I mean, I've watched so many episodes of the show. I like to say it's all for work, but you know, I don't know. It's just shocking that Derick is, you know, speaking out and no one else has addressed it. Jill hasn't said anything. Jim Bob hasn't said anything. None of the other siblings.
And there's
have
a
said
lot
anything.
of siblings that could say something too.
How much would you pay to be a fly on the wall in the conversation between Jim Bob and his daughter or Derick himself? Because I'd pay a fair amount.
So much
right
money. So much money. I like an embarrassing amount of money. I really am interested to see kind of what the conversation is there.
I would pay so much money just to be a fly on the wall on all. I just want to know how they all work. Because like when I hear stuff like this, you think about how many families get into reality and they walk away. Well, they walk in, they're like so happy and dandy, like it's their payday. And then they walk away all divided, split and angry, or they keep going divided, split and angry. And then it just makes me refer back to the Kardashians. And I'm like, good for you guys for staying together. And not hating each other.
Yeah, I was gonna say
that's everyone.
Well, okay, but like, but how long did it take for them? You know what I mean? Like, and they're still she's still doing it. You know.
I guess whenever you're tied that closely together with your siblings for a payday, you might get along with them, right? Those contracts are tied. So
yeah,
I don't know. I'm not willing to give them a gold medal just yet.
It's interesting, man.
Yeah, and the thing that I should note is Derick also is a little salty towards TLC because TLC in 2017 said they fired him because he made a bunch of transphobic comments about Jazz Jennings from I Am Jazz. He disputes that he was fired, said that he'd quit filming with them ahead of time, but that's every fired reality star's, excuse. So who knows what happened? But regardless, there's bad blood between them there. And Derick is going to law school right now. So him coming out and starting to say all these things makes me start to think that he took like a communications law class and realized that he could kind of come forward and say stuff. So fascinated to see what happens next.
Yeah, same. Ditto.
It's more interesting than the show. The show's just so boring. I'm so sorry. They don't do anything on that show except for I watched a show once. It was 60 minutes long. And it was about them choosing a thoughtful gift for a bridal shower. It's like, I don't even want that to take 60 minutes of my own life.
Yeah. A long time for that.
Yeah, tough stuff. So we'll keep you updated on that. And then let's move on to our pop culture picks of the week. I have a bummer one. Do you want me to go first, middle, or last?
I have an upper. So, yes, let's start with bummer first.
Yes, let's end on a high note. Okay. So at least I disclosed it ahead of time.
There you go.
So mine is Grant Imahara from Mythbusters. He passed away of a brain aneurysm earlier this week. I'm such a Mythbusters fan. I love the White Rabbit Project. I watched that show growing up and to this day, and he was always, such a delight, such a light presence. He was a genius and used his platform to really give back in a lot of special ways. So that was a really heartbreaking death for me. I've been streaming all sorts of Mythbusters. It's on Hulu for people who want to kind of pay tribute, and White Rabbit Project is on Netflix. And it's just a bummer, and it's kind of a proof that you never know what tomorrow's going to bring. So
very true.
Got to live it up.
Yeah.
I'll bring it up.
Yeah.
So
yes, please do.
I am so excited for Shark Week coming up.
Yeah, Shark Week.
I didn't even realize we were that close to it. So it starts August 9th?
It is August 9th through 16th.
So yeah, less than a month, and now they've brought on Mike Tyson for Shark Week. So I don't even know that's awesome. I know that. But I don't even know what it looks like. I just know that it's awesome. So I'm ready for that. I'm ready for this to happen.
Yeah, well, Mike Tyson, known for his biting abilities. Sharks, also known for their biting abilities. It's a perfect match.
Dude, and I love one of the promo images has Mike Tyson on the beach, destroying a surfboard. It's he's punching it in half. It's this is well done. Well done.
They always get the best celebrities. They had Shaq the other year. Yeah. I think they've had Shaq a couple times. Yeah. He's always the best. Yep. I'm looking forward to that too.
Nice.
Depending on how you feel about this, it could be an upper or a downer, but I'm very happy that Kanye West has bowed out of the presidential race.
That's an upper for me.
Yeah, that's an upper for humanity.
You just never know.
It's an upper for even people who think that it's a downer.
They don't know yet. The birthday party is defunct. Good.
I still appreciate the Kardashians and the White House memes. So if you guys can keep that rolling for a few extra weeks, that'd be great. But very excited that Kanye West has decided not to run for president anymore. So,
and I do appreciate the people who were able to squeeze a paycheck out of him to set up the very beginnings of his campaign before he was like, oh wait, I'm so late and I don't want to do this. So good for those people.
Good for those people.
I hope they had a better contract so they get paid for a little bit longer. All right, guys, don't forget to follow popculture.com. We're on all your up-to-date news. We're on Facebook. I'm on Twitter at Anna Rumor.
I'm at James D. Brown.
I'm at V. Megotomy.
Drop us a rating, review, subscribe. We are still accepting Kardashian White House memes and pretty much all memes. So send those over.
Appreciated.
We're everywhere that you get your podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, blah, blah, blah. And we will see you next week.